This is a civil defense message for Saturday, May 26th at 6 in the evening. The Hawaiian Volcano Observatory reports the lava flow in Leilani Estates has crossed Pohoiki Road slightly north of the HGPA site. The flows to the south continue to enter the ocean near Mackenzie State Park. Lava is now covering about 2,400 acres or 3.5 square miles. Ma'u crater is producing small bursts of volcanic ash. The ash is slowly being pushed downwind southwest into the Ka'u district. Volcanic gases, VOG, and ash emissions may increase in areas downwind of the vents. Areas along Kamaili Road are experiencing elevated levels of sulfur dioxide. Due to the volcanic activity, the following policies are in effect. Take action to limit further exposure and be prepared to leave the area with little or no notice if necessary. Ash fallout may cause poor driving conditions. Drive with extreme caution or pull over and park. Residents close to the active eruption must remain alert to changes in the flow direction and are advised to prepare for voluntary evacuation should their areas become threatened. Stay alert for warnings from civil defense officials. We are on watch 24 hours a day for your safety. Thank you for listening. This is your Hawaii County Civil Defense Agency.
Okay, so down in the lower East Rift Zone, the main new activity overnight was the renewed eruption at vent number 8. A vigorous lava fountain developed and fed lava to a new flow that moved northwards from the Fisher complex, and it crossed Pohoiki Road earlier this morning. By that time, the flow was about 1.5 miles long, and it was only advancing a few yards per hour, so the flow has slowed considerably overnight. Also, elsewhere on the Fisher complex, the erupting vents of the past few days that were erupting lava flows to the south and into the ocean had stopped erupting during the past day. The ocean entries this morning consist of only a very little amount of lava draining from the lava channels into the sea. So those are essentially quiet this morning. We've not recorded any additional earthquake activity in the lower part of the East Rift Zone or detected any additional deformation or widening of the rift zone in that area, suggesting that no additional new magma is accumulating in the lower East Rift Zone. Back up at the summit of the volcano from the main vent in Ma'u crater, ash continued to erupt intermittently in the past day. There were a couple of stronger events this morning, right around 4:35 and also at 6:30, that generated some ash plumes up to about 10,000 feet and 12,000 feet respectively. Also, earthquakes are occurring at a higher rate at the summit area. These are small magnitude earthquakes, magnitude 2s and 3s. These are similar to some of the recent episodes of increased earthquake activity at the summit. Lasts for a day or 2 or 3. And these events, we think, are associated with the adjustment within the volcano as the summit area subsides in response to more magma leaving the summit reservoir than is coming into it from below. I think with that, I'll stop.
All right, good morning. Today is day 18 of the park closure, and this has now exceeded the longest park closure to date, which was back in October of 2013 during a federal government shutdown. So this is an entirely different kind of shutdown. Again, it is a very unsafe place to be at the summit of Kilauea and its surrounding vicinity. We remind media that there is no media access to the park. We are the land manager, and if that should change, we'll let you know. But if it is not safe enough for park staff, for USGS staff, for visitors, etc., it is not safe for media to be there either. I happened to be there Friday, right around noonish, when the 4.0 struck. I was at the Jagger Museum overlook trying to get photography of law enforcement officers on a patrol, and it was somewhat terrifying to be there during that event. So really, guys, there is no media access, and again, if that changes, we will let you know. The Kahuku unit does remain open 5 days a week, Wednesday through Sunday, but it has been impacted negatively by ashfall and air quality. So keep that in mind if you are talking about Kahuku unit in your outreach. I would appreciate that. And I think that is it for my updates at this time. Meteorologist with NOAA's National Weather Service.
Okay, good morning, everyone. The winds today are a little bit different than what we've seen for about the last week. We've been under typical trade wind flow with northeasterly winds. Well, that is changing today. The winds are swinging around to more of an easterly direction, and that's going to continue through Tuesday. And then once we get into Tuesday night and beyond, right through the next weekend, we'll get back into the typical trade wind flow with winds out of the northeast. Well, what that means here today through Tuesday is that we have the potential for the fog or haze from the Leilani Estates area to affect northwestward, and that could potentially bring bad air quality into the Pahoa region, as well as Mountain View and areas even up to and around the Hilo area. Also, I wanted to mention that the winds above the surface are actually more out of the southeast through about the first 15,000 feet of the atmosphere. And then above that, they shift around to the south and southwest above 15,000 feet. So what that means is that there's the potential, if there's a large enough eruption at Halemaumau, that there could be some ash that could spread onto Highway 11. And one other thing I wanted to mention, too, is we're seeing some scattered showers move through the Leilani Estates area here today. We're expecting more rainfall with heavier and more frequent showers to move in tonight and Tuesday, and that might act to reduce the emissions moving northwestward into the Hilo area as the water absorbs those emissions. That's all I have.
Hi, Mr. Bradley. You mentioned that there have been little to no earthquakes in the lower East Rift Zone and that it's indicative of no new magma intrusion. Would that be in any way indicative of the volume of magma that's available to feed an ongoing eruption, or does that signify that perhaps this could be short-lived because there is no new magma movement in there?
What's your affiliation?
KWXX B97 KPUA radio.
Thank you.
The lack of additional earthquake activity further down the rift and the absence of additional widening across the whole rift section down there simply means that magma is no longer accumulating there as a larger volume. But clearly, magma is still moving from the upper part of the rift zone into the lower East Rift Zone and erupting at the surface. So it just only points out that there's not an additional intrusion or an accumulation of magma to what's already been in place in early May. Okay, thank you.
Hi there. I was wondering whose drone helped guide a resident trapped by lava out last night, and how was that UAS used?
The lava flow that moved through Leilani Estates last evening was tracked by a team of pilots using drones from both the U.S. Geological Survey and the Interior Department's Office of Aviation Services. This team has been here for the past week or two to help track a variety of things, both at the summit and down in the lower East Rift Zone. For the U.S. Geological Survey, but primarily for the Hawaii County Civil Defense Emergency Operations Center.
Puna geothermal plant, are there any more lava flows there, or have they ceased? Anyone who can answer that, please.
It's my understanding that the flows that were encroaching upon PGV have slowed or stopped. For more specific information about PGV property, I suggest that it's best that you call the Hawaii County's Emergency Operations Center.
Hey, this is Wendy Stovall. So today we are still seeing continued activity in both locations on Surf Zone and at the summit. This is kind of more of the same that we've been seeing over the past few days. The eruptive activity in the lower East Rift Zone is continuing to migrate back to the west along the fissure line. There's an approximately 2-mile-long line of activity of fountaining, low fountaining of lava, and then those fountains are feeding massive lava flows that are channelized going down to the coast. There's 2 primary channels that are going down from the locus of activity, and the easternmost channel has split into 2 down at the coast, so now there are 3 ocean entries at the coast. Lays is issuing off of those ocean entries, and hopefully we'll get a weather update to talk a little bit about that. There seems to be a lot of lava being produced by Fissure 7, and that is in Leilani State. The flows themselves are moving a little bit to the north, but mostly to the south from that point. And we have field crews on the ground there monitoring the progress of that. They've had a hard time getting closer to those flows because they are so voluminous. And then if we go up to the summit is pretty socked in today. It's very cloudy, and so we haven't had a whole lot of great visual observations of what's happening at the summit, but we do have some observations from cameras that are up on Mauna Kea. I'm trying to get the exact information about where these images are coming from, but we've seen a couple of plumes rise above the clouds from imagery coming from an observatory on Mauna Kea, and we did see a plume go up to about 6,000 feet above sea level, 6,000 to 7,000 feet above sea level this morning, but it was just a minor explosion. And then yesterday afternoon, one went up to about 8,000 feet. And then yesterday at about 5 p.m., there was a magnitude 3.9 earthquake at the summit of Kilauea. That's the general update for today.
Good morning, everyone. We continue to see the trade wind pattern as has been being briefed for the past couple of days. This trade wind pattern means generally winds are from the northeast and the lower levels. I do want to highlight that today's winds are expected to be the strongest that we've seen all week and that we should see in the coming days, with gusts up to between 20 and 25 miles per hour possible. I mentioned these stronger winds mainly because if there is an explosion or a plume that occurs at the summit, as Wendy has just briefed, there's been a few, we could see the ash being carried a little farther downwind than we have seen in the past couple of days. However, because of this northeast wind, we are still going to continue to see the plume going to the southwest, pretty much from the summit down Highway 11 down to Pahola. I also want to note, though, too, with these gustier winds, the winds can also pick up any ash deposits that have recently fallen and can result in dusty conditions, possibly even reduced visibilities. We haven't had that report yet, but it is a potential with the gustier winds. As such, the National Weather Service is continuing to issue a special weather statement in effect for the Cal District, accounting for these hazards pretty much until further notice. One thing of note, Wendy was talking about the different plume heights. From a sounding that the Weather Service did earlier today, for your information, it would take a plume height of around 15,000 feet above ground level to have any ash interaction with any of a westerly flow, which would be taking it more towards the helo direction. So again, it would have to get to around 15,000 feet. Most of the plumes and explosions we've seen in the past couple of days have been between the 5,000 to 8,000 feet above ground level, which is why we are seeing the ash mainly on the northeast trade winds heading down to the southwest from the summit along Highway 11. And then turning our attention to the areas around the fissures, that northeast flow is impacting down there as well. during the day. Around the fissures, we do get the winds turning a little bit more to the west during the overnight hours, but they do weaken during the overnight, so we don't see too much of a turn in direction necessarily of any of the fog. Primarily, so as long as the sulfur dioxide is being emitted from the fissures, we do expect the development of the fog in the vicinity of the fissures, and that northeast flow carrying them to the south and the west. And that looks to be ongoing for the time being. Also mentioned about the lays. With this flow, any of the lays that does form as the lava is entering the ocean should keep the threat immediate around where that lays is forming at the coastline, or taking it out a little into the ocean. And one last thing I want to just touch on, because Wendy did mention about the earthquake. The Pacific Tsunami Warning Center is monitoring every earthquake activity. No tsunami threats at this time by any means, but just to make you aware that we are continuing to monitor every single earthquake that does occur, and products will be issued as needed.
Hi, Jim Kawaikawa, U.S. Geological Survey's Hawaiian Volcano Observatory. I'll do a quick summary of what's happening. Vents 8 and 16 have reactivated. 22 and 13 are still the main southbound channels going into the two ocean entries, although that has been quite weak today. The biggest producer is vent 7, and from vent 7 there are two main channels. The north channel goes towards PGV property, and the south channel will turn around and go south, possibly making a new ocean entry sometime in the next day or two, if it continues. The PGV, the lobe that went towards PGV stalled early this morning about 6 or 7 o'clock. It was relatively stable for most of the day, and then it started to reactivate with new lava from vent 7 about the middle of the afternoon, or a little earlier than maybe about lunchtime. I was very slow in the beginning, but the lava flow did start to advance again, and that's why we're not there physically, and our drone team was pulled off just before to do another commitment, so we don't know exactly where the lava flow is on pad E that you were asking about, but we do know that the flow is advancing across pad E from basically west to east. There is another lobe of that flow that is going to the northeast, north of Pu'uhonua'ula, and it is making some progress towards Highway 130, which is on the other side of the PGV property. At the summit, we have had almost continuous emissions of ash, with one event that went up to about 10,000 feet around noon. The summit is still deflating. The lower east rift zone is quite stable in terms of expansion and earthquakes. Gases in both areas, gas emission rates are quite high in both areas. I think our figure is up to 3 times what the initial gas emissions were for the lower east rift zone fissures. And even at the summit, emissions are still quite high. Any questions?
Can you tell us about Fissure 24?
Oh, yes.
Is there no lava coming out of that?
The news story. Fissure 24 was noticed this morning. It was actually a rather slow output. It was going into filling a pre-eruption crack in Leilani Estates. It was certainly well overshadowed by vent 7 and the big fountains there, which achieved almost a 200-foot elevation above the ground. It's been very dramatic. You can actually see that fountain very clearly on our one of our east rift zone cams. That's called a PG cam. But Fissure 24, we don't expect it will probably last very long. It was very slow beginning. Sorry, and
did lava come out of that?
It did, but it was kind of pasty, and it just flowed into a crack that wasn't more than about 100 yards away. And the crack was pre-existing, so it was a fairly wide crack. Any other questions?
Fissure 7, any estimate on a number of amounts? Like, down there, an amount coming out? At what rate?
It's a tough area to be in. We don't go up on the flow up to the channel because of the danger that there may be a little overspill or something that might trap us up there. So we're staying on the pre-eruption ground, getting what we can. views and angles and things to try to determine, for example, the lava fountain heights. But no, we so far don't have an estimate. I think we had one 3 days ago. That was just for the area covered by lava, which was about, as I remember, 3.4 square miles. I'm sure it's larger now.
Is there an estimate how far the lava from flow 7 is to Highway 130?
No, she just asked that, I believe.
132.
Oh,
Yeah.
132. Yeah.
Unfortunately, we do have a little bad news. That bypass line that we did run down Pohiki Road was covered by lava on Friday. But prior to that, we had already started plans for, I think what Talmich had mentioned earlier, is to outfit the well that near Green Lake Tank. So unfortunately, that well hasn't been in operation for over 20 plus years. There's no power to the site, but we've already sent crews out there to evaluate the system. We have equipment coming in as we speak. We have crews working on access to the property. So we hope to get that up and running in a matter of about a week or so. So again, we apologize for that disruption in service, but we're committed to continue to keep water flowing to those areas of Pohoiki, Kapoho Vacation Land, and beach lots. As soon as we can get that restored, we'll get that restored to you folks. Other than that, we'll be available over there off to the side if there's any detailed questions. Thanks.
This is a civil defense message for Saturday, May 26 at 10:30 in the morning. Lava flow activity continues in the East Rift Zone of Kilauea. The flow in Leilani Estates has slowed its advance and is 150 yards from Pohiki Road. The flows to the south continue to enter the ocean near Mackenzie State Park. Due to the volcanic activity, the following policies are in effect. Residents close to the active eruption must remain alert to changes in the flow direction and are advised to prepare for voluntary evacuation should their areas become threatened. Areas along Kamali'i Road are experiencing elevated levels of sulfur dioxide. Residents are advised to shelter in place or leave the area. Pahoa Community Center, Keau Community Center, and Sure Foundation Church are open. Food will be provided and shelters are pet friendly. Ash masks are being distributed at Cooper Center, Hawaiian Ocean View Community Center, Pahala Gym Annex, Shipman Gym in Keau, and Na'alehu Nutrition Center from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. today. We are on watch 24 hours a day for your safety. This is your Hawaii County Civil Defense Agency.
Take us up to the summit, learning today that the crater within Halima'uma'u has grown in 3 weeks to some 14 acres up to more than 90 acres.
Yes.
That's obviously a drastic change. What, if anything, does it mean?
Well, it has great meaning. You know, the current Halima'uma'u was formed by explosions in 1924. Previous to that, previous to the explosions, Halima'uma'u was half the diameter that it is today. So, you know, we are seeing 1924, many aspects of 1924 over again, and one of them is the widening of the actual event down to whatever's down there. But we're also learning a great deal about how these explosions occur. We're getting more information as they continue. And one of the interesting findings is that they may be more related to gas than steam as we once thought. And our senior geologist, Don Swanson, is looking at all that data, and he is beginning to think that maybe the steam blast idea was not quite accurate, and then that's causing him to look back at 1924 when they had far less instrumentation and analytical capabilities, and thinking that maybe 1924 wasn't steam blast either, that it was the same mechanism, more like gas pressurization and expansion, explosion. But there are some instrumental measurements that contradict that. So as science goes on, we keep asking questions, but that's basically it.